An exciting video today, a countdown video of the best performing booster boxes from the late mid to modern era. Now by late mid, I mean Sun and Moon base to right now. So Phantasmal Flames is the latest booster box we've had. These prices, this information is an Instagram account called Card Price Check. That information has been taken off there, so I certainly don't want to steal anyone's thunder. That's where it's from, Card Price Check on Instagram. They've put the graphics together here. So we're using their imagery here. But really interesting, there's been some very, very strong performing booster boxes. To be exact, there is 36 of them. So we're going to count from 36 down to 1. What has been, and it's probably a no-brainer if you're in the investing space, what has been the best performing booster box from the late mid to modern era? And there's probably going to be some surprising ones in there. The big takeaway I wanted to talk about, and I'll talk about it more at the end of the video, is just how damn good an investment Pokemon cards is. Even if it's a poor set, it can still perform incredibly well. And the good sets, I mean, the gains they've had are just absolutely phenomenal. And I'll talk, not all of them, but some of them I'll talk to their performance at the time, like when they were released, you know, what was the sentiment around those sets, where do we see it? And we can probably transfer some of that knowledge to modern sets when they come out to make better decisions around investing in the right product. Now, before I jump into this countdown, I wanted to talk about a couple of things. The first one, of course, being today's video sponsor, which is the Collector app. There'll be a link in the description to download that one. If you are an investor or a collector, this is the one-stop shop to put all your sealed or singles product. The app is absolutely phenomenal. So again, there'll be a link in the description to download that. There is so much data on that app. It just makes investing and your whole journey in the space and the hobby so much more enjoyable. The second thing I wanted to talk about is merchandise. Now, I'm very new to the internet space. Funnily enough, YouTube was almost a space for, although I've worked in sales for a long time and I'm in the automotive industry and I work in automotive sales, I wouldn't say my public speaking is great. So little backstory here, I guess, and sorry to go off topic a little bit. I wouldn't say my public speaking is great. I wouldn't say I'm nervous in front of a crowd, but I also wouldn't say I'm fantastic. I don't mind having conversations one-on-one, particularly with customers, and I like helping them on their journey to choose the right car or, you know, anyway, that point aside, what I'm trying to get at here is YouTube was a space for me to, I suppose, start presenting one of my massive interests and massive hobbies. And it's actually really nerve-wracking presenting to a camera. I also had no skills whatsoever when it came to editing videos, and I still don't really edit because I'm not very good at that. I just talk to the camera, it's generally in one take, and then I upload it to a small editing app and I re-download it in 4K and upload it to YouTube. And anyway, it was almost a learning space for me, this technology. And one new bit of learning space that I've jumped into is, only because people have been asking for them, is some merchandise. And of course, one of the catchphrases that took off is "pop it on the telly." It's a very Australian saying, and I think it's resonated with a lot of people, even in the United States, which a lot of viewers are from, in the UK and New Zealand, or wherever else you might be from, is "pop it on the telly." So I made some merch, and this is a shout out to, I guess, anyone. I only launched it live or promoted it in one video, and there were 6 people that bought something. And after doing some research, the provider that I was using for that merchandise space can either not send items occasionally, or it takes a very, very long time for them to send items. That will obviously affect, or could possibly affect, the 6 people that bought something. The other side of the coin is they often don't pay the content creators. So I've gone with a more, and again, that was a learning space for me. I've never done it before. So if it does impact you in any way, shape or form, please email me. Like if it's taken 3 months and you haven't received an item, like if you ordered a coffee mug or a t-shirt, just reach out to me. I'll fix it, no stress. But we're back on board with a much bigger brand, a much bigger website, which has a lot of positive reviews and feedback, and that is Fourth Wall. So again, merchandise is back, and this time it should get to you in a somewhat timely manner, and we shouldn't have any issues in that space. So again, apologies those 6 people. If you're impacted at all, just email me, we'll fix it, we'll sort it out. Anyway, on to the video. Let's get into it. But exciting, Pop It on the Telly merch is back. So there'll be a link in the description to download, and you'll see it underneath each video if you wanted to buy yourself something. So number 36 on the list is Surging Sparks, believe it or not. Here is the graphics up on the screen. Even though it is 36th on the list, It has grown 56%. You know, it's really interesting that Surging Sparks is the worst performing booster box on this list. And what you've got to remember is there was a recommended retail price change from Sword and Shield through to Scarlet and Violet. We've gone from $144 being recommended retail price for a booster box all the way up to $166 being recommended retail price for a booster box. And of course, finding them at those prices at launch is very, very difficult. We know the market's inflated at the moment. Number 35 on the list is Temporal Forces. 67% growth since that set has come out. So what it shows us is even, I suppose, bad sets or sets that have just come out have still been performing very, very well. Number 34 on the list is Mega Evolution at 70%. I won't keep reading out the numbers. We'll get into the top 5 and we might start talking about them. But Mega Evolution, 70% growth since it came out. Next one on the list, Journey Together, also 70% growth since it came out. Now, the interesting thing is you wouldn't typically see this level of growth. And I wanted to talk, I guess, about sets like Journey Together, Mega Evolution Base, Phantasmal Flames, and why they've grown so rapidly, like, you know, 50, 70, in some cases 100% growth in such a short period of time, like, you know, inside 12 months or even in some cases inside 6 months. Like, I need to reiterate that is not normal for booster boxes. If you're expecting just to buy a booster box and instantly make 70% gains on it, that's not normal. We're in a very, very strong bull market at the moment. And if you've been in and around this hobby for a while, you'll know that's not normal. You'll know what's more normal is that booster boxes typically come out, they're readily available, they sit around a certain price point, sometimes recommend retail price, in some cases a little bit under, and they sit around that price point for a while. They might cop a reprint and they still sit around that price point for a while. And sometimes it can take a year, it can take 2 years, it can take 2.5 years for booster boxes to start seeing some sort of increase in price. And even prior to 2020, so when we got this massive push of just money from every side, whatnot, like the rip and shippers, YouTubers, influencers, investors, just everyone pushing money into the Pokemon TCG place, booster boxes didn't see this level of growth. Like, it was abnormal. Like in 2019, 2018, for argument's sake, you could still buy a lot of mid-era booster boxes, things like, you know, Diamond and Pearl boxes, Black and White boxes for very reasonable prices. This level of growth, I do need to reiterate, is not normal. But at the moment, the hobby seems to be going from strength to strength. Obviously, the Pokemon Company International don't see it slowing down, with Millennium Print Group taking over a new printing facility. Obviously, their projections see things not slowing down, which is probably great for us that are all sitting on product. And I can talk you through that a little bit more with different booster boxes. The next one on the list is Scarlet and Violet Base is up 72%. Not the strongest set. Did cop a reprint when Lost Origin and Silver Tempest got a small reprint. But interestingly enough, and I'll probably talk about a little bit more of Sun and Moon. Sun and Moon Base reminds me a little bit of Scarlet and Violet Base. Not the strongest set. Also got a reprint and quite deep into Sword and Shield era. Like, I'm talking, you know, mid Sword and Shield era sets like Fusion Strike, Evolving Skies era. You could still pick up Sun and Moon base booster boxes for a reasonable price. Just like right now, you can still pick up Scarlet and Violet booster boxes for a reasonable price. So I'm not saying in the next few years that Scarlet and Violet based booster boxes will get to the same price as Sun and Moon based booster boxes, but what it shows you is base sets typically perform quite well, and given enough time, even with reprints or small reprints, they can perform really, really well. Next one on the list, Paradox Rift, 78% increase. Battle Styles, 80% increase. I think Battle Styles, due to its age, like, it is the oldest set. It is the oldest booster box, oldest set on this list that has seen the smallest amount of growth. Take for that what you will, but Battle Styles seems to be a little bit behind the 8 ball. Its printing schedule was somewhat interrupted and disjointed a little bit. We did see, like, it wasn't a short printed set. It was in the middle of the hype. Tyranitar is a beautiful card. There is some nice cards inside there. Take from that what you will, but, you know, Battle Styles does seem to be, you know, in need of some growth to catch up, I guess, to the rest of its peers. Stellar Crown, 85% increase. Insane numbers. Phantasmal Flames already up 96% in a very, very short amount of time. Vivid Voltage, 101% increase. That set has taken so long to see some level of growth, but it is finally starting to show that. What that shows is a heavily printed set. This was very sought after when it came out. Everyone was chasing the Rainbow Pikachu. Everyone wanted those amazing rares. Very, very sought after set, colourful, popping. It was the best set so far of Sword and Shield, given a quite weak introduction with Darkness Ablaze, with Rebel Clash and Sword and Shield base, so it was very sought after at the time, but mass amounts of printing really slowed that down. 101% increase. Next one, Twilight Masquerade, 113% increase. Obsidian Flames, 114% increase. Why are a lot of these, I suppose, a lot newer booster boxes from Scarlet and Violet era, like your Obsidian Flames, like your Twilight Masquerade, why are they outperforming much older sets like Battle Styles and Vivid Voltage? And the truth really is although you might think they're slightly stronger sets or slightly weaker sets, it doesn't matter in this instance. What matters in some cases is they just weren't printed enough to the demand. It wasn't like there was ever leftover stock. Like, you weren't going into stores or online stores and seeing Twilight Masquerade left over at retail price. It just didn't exist because the market was just absorbing it. Whereas eventually, after the multiple reprints, we did see Vivid Voltage, and we did see Darkness Ablaze, and we did see Battle Styles sitting there for people to buy at retail price. Next on the list, Darkness Ablaze, 133% increase. Astral Radiance, 160% increase. Paldea Evolved, 177% increase. So from that sort of first 10 or dozen booster boxes, opportunities there. I still see opportunity in Astral Radiance, and I still see opportunity in Battle Styles. They haven't shown a great deal of growth based on their age. Astral Radiance, of course, a lot more so than Battle Styles. It's doubled its growth compared to Battle Styles. I think Astral Radiance is still a sleeper set. I think given enough time and age, Astral Radiance will perform really, really well. Next one on the list is Destined Rivals, 215% increase. We all know what that booster box has done. So out of all the modern booster boxes, so the latest release, booster boxes that have been released sort of in the last 12 months, Destined Rivals has far outperformed all its peers. Insane growth levels from Destined Rivals. And that is, of course, based around that Team Rocket nostalgia. Next on the list, Silver Tempest up 227%. Rebel Clash up 240%. Chilling Reign up 242%. What are we up to now? Sword and Shield base? No. Crimson Invasion up 282%. Brilliant Stars up 304%. Finally getting some time in the sun, Brilliant Stars. Again, I still think there's a fair bit of opportunity there, particularly when you compare these, and I'll show you some of their peers like Sun and Moon era boxes. There's still some opportunity with Brilliant Stars and Chilling Reign, in my opinion. Sword and Shield base up 372%. Like I said, base sets just seem to do something, and I don't know exactly the rhyme and reason. Sword and Shield base didn't get the print levels, of course, of something like a Scarlet and Violet base. Lost Origin, 403%. Good set, Lost Origin. Brilliant Trainer Gallery. Two good chase cards, particularly in that Giratina and Aerodactyl. So, as you can expect. Sun and Moon base, though, 556% increase. And I did want to talk about this just a brief bit more. So, interestingly, like I was saying, during sort of Vivid Voltage release, during Battle Styles release, even up to Fusion Strike, you could still pick up Sun and Moon base for like 350 Australian, which is probably like 200 to 250 US dollars. Like, it was still cheap, and it was a hard pickup because you looked at it, and I don't have one, and I should have bought one. And I look back now, and of course you think, damn, I should have bought that box. But the reason was, it's like, well, surely there's better investments out there. It's better to buy into a lower set like a Chilling Reign that's just come out, because it's cheaper and I'm going to get better returns off it. But interesting enough, Sun and Moon base has done crazy things. 556% increase. It is actually, like, if I'd bought a Chilling Reign booster box for, say 110 US dollars versus the Sun and Moon box at 220 US dollars, I actually would have performed better buying a Sun and Moon. I looked at it and I went, well, there's not much in it. It's not a great set. It's just been reprinted. It's going to take a while to eat through that stock. But as you can see, as it gets age behind it and it eats through that stock, it just starts, or even the weaker sets just start ripping up in price. And there's just something about base sets. Whether you put that knowledge towards Scarlet and Violet base, that's completely up to you, but we can see something there. Fusion Strike up nearly 600%, 594%. Burning Shadows up 768%. Really interesting take on Burning Shadows, and I think you can apply some of this knowledge to Phantasmal Flames. Ripped up really quickly because everyone was chasing that Charizard. Massive raw price, massive PSA 10 price. Couple of small ancillary hits inside Burning Shadows, but everyone was chasing that Charizard, just like everyone is chasing the Phantasmal Flames Charizard. Phantasmal Flames Charizard, in my opinion, much better artwork. Don't get me wrong, I'd much prefer that compared to a Rainbow Charizard. But I think we'll see Phantasmal Flames booster boxes rip up in price, and then I think eventually they'll level out for a while, and then it'll take time for that box to start seeing even bigger increases like we saw with Burning Shadows. So still good investments off these solely Charizard-based booster box sets. Forbidden Light, 942% increase, actually outperformed Burning Shadows, believe it or not. Lost Thunder, 994% increase with a Rainbow Lugia inside there. Ultra Prism, which is heavily guided by trainer cards, up 1,077%. Guardians Rising, up 1,081%. Celestial Storm, up 1,636%. And finally, rounding out the top 5, it is probably secret that the top 5 consists of a lot of tag team sets from Sun and Moon era and Evolving Skies. So although there's been some interesting performers amongst that mix, the top 5 performing booster box of the, I suppose, late modern to modern era is all sets with stellar chase cards inside them. Unbroken Bonds up 1,640%, Alt Arts inside here, Tag Teams inside here, Unified Minds up 1,810%, same thing, Alt Arts inside here, Tag Teams inside here, Evo Skies up 1,837%, again, heaps of Alt Arts inside here, Cosmic Eclipse up over 2,500%, same thing, Alt Arts, Tag Teams, and Trainer Gallery inside Cosmic Eclipse. And finally, Team up 7,469%. It has the formula of all those other tag team sets that I mentioned, plus a very short print run, very short printed booster box, making it incredibly rare. So I guess what do we take away from all that when it comes to investing in booster boxes? It's hard to know what's going to be short printed, but short printed plus, heavy chase card based set is going to equal strong performance in the future. And it's not always the case that every single chase card is going to come out of the gate worth lots of money. Community sentiment towards a set, towards the chase cards can change over time, therefore altering the total set value and of course the chase cards value. And all those things have an impact on the future booster box price. Crazy, isn't it? What an investment. It is really starting to take the world by storm, I think, Pokemon card investing. It is performing a lot of booster boxes or just sealed Pokemon in general, or even PSA 10 slabs compared to a lot of traditional investments, and showing how much it's outperforming them and how much fun people can have with it. I'm Michael, this is PokeOz. Thanks heaps for tuning into this video. Catch everyone next time.